Hi, this is Todd Geist with Geist Interactive, and today I would like to talk about a new module I'm releasing for Modular FileMaker called Watermark. And it is pretty much what it says. It watermarks photos with FileMaker. So here's a quick demo, and then we'll talk about how it works and what it's using to do this. Here's a photo I'd like to watermark, and here is the watermark that I'd like to apply to it. And I'd like the opacity to be set to, say, 0.5. And the position to be in the top right corner, and the offset 30 pixels off of the corners. So there you see it popped in over there. And this is actually creating a new PNG file. So we're starting with two photos, and I'm laying the watermark on top of the photo in the right position and applying an opacity to it, and then getting back a ping. So if we look at this, you can see that's just a container field. It's not a web viewer. We're not building something in a web viewer. And if I drag this off to the desktop and open it up, you can see that it's just a ping. So that's what I mean by watermarking. So how are we doing this? Well, we're using a little web viewer here, and that web viewer has a little tiny JavaScript HTML5 application that does the watermarking. So it takes a bunch of inputs from FileMaker. It creates a little web app. That web app runs when the web viewer loads. And when it's done doing its watermarking, it calls a script in FileMaker, and it gives it back the data URL of the image that it just created. So that's what we're seeing right here. So just a little bit of background on this. Web viewers are awesome tools, and they're getting more and more powerful with each release of FileMaker. And using the FMP URL, you can call back out of a web viewer to FileMaker and get some things like this to work. Now, we've been doing this for quite some time. We started quite a ways back with GoSign, back before there was native signature capture in FileMaker Go. We added it by building a little web app that did signature capture. We still sell it, actually. We now have GoSign version 3, which works on the desktop and FileMaker Go, and it's using the same kind of technique. We also have GoDraw, which is another example of this. It's a web viewer that you can draw on, and we get back the resulting image. So all these are using kind of the same underlying technology, which is HTML5 canvas and JavaScript. And the HTML5 canvas element is basically just a drawing surface that you can draw on with JavaScript. So that's what we're doing here in this example. See, I think we're done with that, so let me get rid of that. Let's take a look at what this web viewer calculation looks like. So we've broken it up into a let function where we declare the pieces that we want to inject into the web app. So the image that we want to use as the base, the image that we want to use as the watermark, the offsets, the opacity. All those things are set by simply setting let variables here. And then here is the web app itself. This is HTML, and we're displaying it using data:text/HTML to make it a data URL for that web page, which then just loads right in the web viewer. And it's all compacted, basically to work out as a FileMaker string, so that when you evaluate it, it evaluates as a FileMaker string and then evaluates as a web page and draws the app. So that's the whole calculation. This is all of the code for doing the watermarking. It's all done right here on the layout and in this web viewer on the layout. And when that web viewer evaluates, it calls a script that has the new image in it. So when we change anything, like say top left, that causes the web viewer to recalc, which causes the script to run, which gives us our new image. So let's look at that script. Let's look at that and debugger here. Bottom right, so you can see that. So we change that to bottom right, and now if we look at our script parameter, we get this big, long, giant data URL. So this is what we're going to use. We're going to convert that using the base 64 decode functions that are in FileMaker 13 back into a ping, and that is what this script here does. It converts our data URL that we get into a ping. So we get that back, and then we set that into the field. We commit the record, and if we get that out of the way, we'll see that it's now over there. So that works pretty well, and it's kind of neat, this little interactive mode. So I can switch out. We can use, let's Let's use a white version of that watermark, and it just kind of pops itself in there. We can change it to use the watermark image. I can change the background image. So I can change the image that I want to watermark. And there we can see that there. Let's make that, set it up to 1. And it's all just happening interactively. So that's pretty cool. So let's take a look at that on the iPad. Okay, so I've got my iPad here running, and you can see it up there on the screen. Just to show that it works here as well, I'm going to switch that to the bottom right. And there we go. You can see it's now showing up there in the bottom right. So it works on the iPad, and in fact, let's get a little more challenging. Let's get a picture out of my camera roll here. And there we go, and let that process. That's a bigger image, so it's going to take a little while longer. But you can see down in the corner that right down there in the corner of the screen, you can see the watermark was added. So this works on FileMaker Go and FileMaker Pro. That's it. Okay, so that was a look at how it works on the iPad. And let's take one more quick look at another way which you might want to use this module. This is all pretty nifty that you can use this right on a layout and this interactive mode where things are just updating in real time. But you might want to drive this process via a script. So the scripted example, which is another layout in this demo file, does the same thing. However, instead of doing it using a web viewer that's on this layout, it runs a script which takes all the code and does it on a different layout. Well, we'll see. Let's just check it out. So if I move this to bottom right, so we'll see when we're done, it'll show up over here. And then I run the script, we're actually going to go to another layout where it's using a web viewer there to do the same process, and then it comes back and sets the field, and we get our watermark done just as we did before. So the only difference there is that this time we're running a script to take all the stuff we need to another layout and use a web viewer on that layout to do the process and then come back. But either one works, and I guess that's really about it. So that is Watermark, a new module for Modular FileMaker. Thanks very much.